Hey friends, we're going to start with our phonics and reading today. Remember, phonics is thinking about sounds that are in words, maybe the beginning, maybe the middle, maybe the end. And today we're actually going to think about chunks, okay? So when we think about chunks or parts, that means the same thing. A chunk is a part. These are something that Chunky Monkey is like, whoa, sometimes the chunk is a real word. Sometimes he gets twitchy and excited because it actually does make a real word. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. But when we do any of these things, it helps us to figure out words when we're reading and we're stuck. So we think about the beginning sound, the middle sound, the end sound. Now we're going to think about chunks of sounds that we hear in words. So the first picture I have is of a kite. And when we hear the word kite, in the beginning we hear ka. And then the whole chunk of the end we hear ite. So we hear ka, then ite. We put it together and it makes kite. Chunky Monkey did not get twitchy and excited about that one because the part we were talking about where we went k, then ite, he's like, ite? That doesn't mean a real word to him. So he didn't get all twitchy about that one. Now, the next one I'm going to put up there is a picture of a nest. What do you hear at the beginning of nest? Right. Now, the end, the chunk, then est. Put it together, we get nest. Chunky Monkey didn't get twitchy and excited about that part of that one either, but I'm going to put it up here. Now, the next one that I want to put up is a bell. What sound do you hear at the beginning? Ba. And the chunk of the end is L. Chunky Monkey didn't get twitchy and excited about that. He's like, it just sounds like the letter L. When we put that together, we get ba, L, and then we say bell. I'm going to put that one right here. Now, this time we have a art. We hear and then art is the chunk. And you know what? Chunky Monkey was like, wah, wah, do the twitchy dance, do the twitchy dance. You can do it too. Ready? Do the Chunky Monkey twitchy dance. He heard art and he says, people love to do art. Art is fun. So you heard then art. Put those together, it makes heart. Time to put that one in. Next picture I have is of a home. We hear and then the chunk at the end is om. Put that together, we have home. Chunky Monkey wasn't too twitchy there. Next we have dress. The first part we hear, dra. The last chunk, S. Chunky Monkey didn't get excited about that one. He's like, S. Just sounds like the letter S. When we put our parts together, we get dress. Dress. So you can see how when we're reading, we say the beginning part because Lippy Fish is like, you got to get that right. You got to get the beginning part right. And if you can figure out the last chunk, that can help you. And we know that Chunky Monkey's been helping us with that for a very long time. Let's look at another one. Cheese, cheese. This time at the beginning, I hear one of our brothers. Do you know which one? You say the word cheese. Charlie, he loves choo-choo trains, and the first word on his list that he loves, cheese. He loves to eat cheese. So we hear cha, the first part, and then we hear ease. Chunky Monkey's like, Kind of reminds him of easy, but it's close, but not same, right? We put them together, ease, and we get cheese. Next one I have is cake. What do we hear at the beginning? Lippy Fish wants to know. Ka. And Chunky Monkey wants us to think about the chunk at the end. Ache. He didn't get excited. He didn't get twitchy. That didn't make a real word. But we're going to put those together to make ka, ache, and then we say cake for that one. Next to that one, I'm going to put a tooth. What do you hear at the beginning? Lippy Fish wants to know. T, and then the chunk at the end. Ooth. Hey, one of these guys is at the end. There he is. His tongue is out. Ooth. Ta, and the chunk. Ooth. Chunky Monkey didn't get twitchy about ooth. No, we're going to put those two parts together though. Ta, ooth, tooth. Put that one here. Now I have a sock. What do you hear at the beginning? S. And the chunk at the end? Ak. Chunky Monkey's like, ak. Don't know that. But we're going to put this together to make the word work. S. Ak. Sock. Next I have a swing. Let's listen to the beginning. Swa, and the chunk at the end, ing. Chunky Monkey doesn't get excited about ing, but he says, I hear that a lot. And we've talked about how that sound ing is 3 letters. I, N, G. That makes ing. So we're going to put those parts together. Swa, ing, swing. So I'm going to put that one in. This one is a chain. Oh, listen to that beginning. Tell me, who do you hear? Cha. Mama H. Tell me the brother. Mama H. Mama H says, that's my son Charlie. Cha. Chain. We hear cha. And then the chunk at the end, ain. Chunky Monkey's like, ain. He said, but put your parts together. Cha, ain, chain. Next one I have, bus. Ba, then us. Chunky Monkey did his dance. You ready? Do your dance. Do the Chunky Monkey twitchy twitchy dance. Twitchy twitchy dance. Twitchy 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 dance. He loves this one. He said he heard ba, and his friend Lippy Fish said to him, did you hear the ba? If you get the ba right, more chance you'll get the whole word right. And then us. The word us, like you and me, us. Oh, ba. We put it together with us. We get bus. I'm going to put that one right over there. Next one I have is rake. Ra. Hear it? Now, ache. We heard that chunk before. One of our other ones also had the chunk ache at the end. We call that, they're in the same word family. Do you know which one it was? I want to put it right by it. Oh, ka, ache, and ra, ache. They have the same chunk at the end. I call that being in the same word family because families, like people families, my family, my kids, they look like me. So families look alike. the chunk at the end looks alike. The last word I have for you is ring. Do you hear ra? Then ing. Oh, we just talked about ing, didn't we? We're getting really good with ing. We know ing, I-N-G, 3 letters that make that sound. What's that other card picture that had ing for the chunk at the end? Are you searching? Because I want to put this one near that one. There it is. Swa-ing, ra-ing. They belong to the same word family. All right, what do we need to talk about today also for reading? Spelling test today, okay? Must do it. Have a grown-up say each word for you. Ask them, say, when are you ready? I need to do my spelling test today. Spelling test is an important part of your day on Friday, okay? It's an activity in Seesaw for you, and it's all ready and waiting for you. We're gonna come on over here. I have a story to share with you. And in our story today, we're gonna think about 2 characters in the story. You might have heard the story before. That's okay if you did. The story is Miss Nelson is missing. So in this story, we're going to think about the characters a lot. We're going to compare and contrast. Compare. We're going to think about what about these characters is the same. That's when we compare. Say compare. Say same. And then we're going to contrast. When we contrast, we think about what's different about them. Say contrast, different. Okay, Miss Nelson is missing. Let's hear the story first. Let's think about the characters. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling. Oh my gosh, friends, that is the grossest thing I think I've heard in ages. Paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Now settle down, said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story hour. Not sitting on their pockets, that is rude. And they always refused to do their lessons. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids, now we can really act up. And they began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's just be terrible, they said. Not so fast, hissed a very unpleasant voice. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. I'm your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp, as she rapped the desk with a ruler. Where is Miss Nelson? Asked the kids. Never mind that, snapped Miss Swamp. Open those math books. Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. She's not messing around. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business, and right away she put them to work, and she loaded them down with extra homework. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Miss Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Miss Swamp, and if you misbehave, you'll be sorry, said Miss Swamp. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. Days went by, and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said, I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective McSmog would not be very much help. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark, said one of the kids, but that didn't seem very likely. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid, but that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one. I know it all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried off by a swarm of angry butterflies, but that was the least likely of all. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola's swamp forever. They heard footsteps in the hall. Here comes the witch, they whispered. Hello, children, said someone in a sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson. Did you miss me? She asked. We certainly did, cried all the kids. Where were you? Oh, that's my little secret, said Miss Nelson. How about a story hour? Oh, yes, cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was rude or silly. What brought about this lovely change? She asked. Oh, that's our little secret, said the kids. Back at home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it in the closet right next to the ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. I'll never tell, she said to herself with a smile. P.S. Detective McSmog is working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp. Oh man, those kids were so rotten that the teacher wanted to leave. So she did for a while. And the kids got this terrible, awful substitute teacher, Miss Swamp. And we're going to look at those two characters and compare them. Do you notice, though, today you don't have a double bubble? It's something that is very much like a double bubble, but this time it's called a Venn diagram. Ooh, that's a new one to say. Can you try that for me? Say Venn diagram. We'll try it again. Venn. Ooh, that's not a hard word to say. It rhymes with pen. And say diagram. Oh, we learned about diagram when we were doing a different reading lesson. So on one side we have Miss Nelson. On the other side we have Miss Swamp. And we have two circles, and in the middle you can see there's a space where the circles come together. In the middle, we're going to put things about Miss Nelson and Miss Swamp that are the same. When we think about the things that are the same, we compare. So they're both ladies or women. They're both teachers. And another thing I noticed, they both had very pink cheeks. That looked the same when I was looking at them. Now I'm going to start to think about just Miss Nelson. And I'm only going to put that on this side by her name. What about Miss Nelson? She had blonde hair. She was sweet. She was kind. She did story hour for the kids. Now I'm going to think about Miss Swamp. She didn't have blonde hair. She had black hair. She also had a very big nose. She was not kind. She made them work hard. She said, no story hour. And her voice was a mean voice. So this is kind of cool, friends. A Venn diagram is very much like a double bubble, where we have our two things that we are looking at, and we're comparing and contrasting in the middle what is the same about him. And that just fits in its own little circle, sort of. And then on each side, by each person, is what is different about the other one. Boy, I sure hope in this story the kids learn their lesson that if you treat your teacher that way, she won't want to be there. She'd get a substitute, and the substitute could be way worse.